was just, I had no purpose, but it paid really well and it had a very comfortable lifestyle. So going to Body Plus Soul, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I would love to try and build something like that. I had this moment where I realized, like, how do I actually want to be spending my life? If I was a dog or a cat looking at me while I was working in tech, they would just be thinking, why is this person sitting and talking to a box of light all day?
Tonight, I'm joined by Marcus Del Bianco, who left the comfort of tech to start a mobile sauna business rooted in craft, community, and a very different kind of work. What began as curiosity and travel became a real venture inspired by European sauna culture and shaped by learning, patience, and risk. In this conversation, we talk about entrepreneurship, creating something physical from scratch, and why heat, cold, and shared experiences can be so powerful. I was just really curious because I think your story is very cool. Like back, was it more than a year ago, probably, when we started, talking about your sauna project. If I remember correctly, you mentioned you worked you're a chemist, right? Something with chemistry.
Yeah, I went to school for chemical engineering, and I did that for a little bit after I graduated. But then I went into technology. When I first started, it was very exciting because this was back before COVID. So I was living in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. I had this dream of biking to work and going out to all the restaurants. And that was a fun life, and working in tech was fun. And I come from that chemical engineering background. So I didn't really know much about the internet or software, and I got to learn how all of that worked. And I thought it was really interesting. But as time went on, I worked in tech a total of maybe 5 years. The work just became a little bit boring. It was after COVID, we all work from home, and it was really fun at first. But then as time went on, it just became lonely. And I just remember waking up every day, going to Slack, answering questions, responding to emails. It wasn't really hard work, but it was just, I had no purpose, but it paid really well, and it had a very comfortable lifestyle. So sometimes my family and friends are like, why would you ever leave?
When did an idea kind of to do something different pop up? Was it you were burned out from your job, or how did the sauna came to be, the idea?
Yeah, that you make me think back a while, because I feel like I'd always had an entrepreneurial mindset, and even out of college, I wanted to own my own business. So in 2021, I left. I traveled for a couple years or a couple months into Peru, and then I got back, and I was looking for more tech jobs, and I had just quit my first tech job. And so as I was looking, I just realized I wasn't really excited about getting another job in tech, but it was felt like my only option. When I got back from Peru, I was really determined to find a new job, and then I bought a one-way ticket to Europe. So I went to Munich, and I stayed there for a month, and then I would go travel to the UK and Croatia, and I just kind of went all around. But in Munich, I got a gym membership to this place called Body Plus Soul. And just to go work out, I like to stay in shape. And so I did a workout, and I went to go sauna, and their sauna was amazing. It was beautiful, and it was so clean, and their steam rooms were so nice. And I was so amazed by such a simple location had such a nice facility. Whereas in the US, when you go to a sauna in a gym, it stinks. They never clean it. People go in with all of their clothes, their shoes. People wear headphones and are blasting the music. And it was such a different thing for me because as an American, I was like, well, that's what sauna is. Sauna is just like you go in at the gym. And so going to Body Plus Soul, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I would love to try and build something like that. So when I got back from that trip, I had just got hired at a new tech company. But the whole time I was thinking, I was like, how do I create something like that? And so, that's where the whole thing started was in Germany, in Munich, and I experienced, Body Plus Soul Sauna. And then I would also go to like some bathhouses in Munich, and it was my first time doing naked bathhouse. Mm-hmm. And I met a girl on Tinder, and we went on our second date, and we went to the Munich bathhouse. It's like a historic one. It's very old. And I didn't know it was going to be naked. So like we go in with our swim trunks, and then I turn around and she's taking all her clothes off. I'm like, oh, okay. So I take all my clothes off. I'm like, okay, this is a little weird at first. But
that's
after like
a great
hour,
second date.
Yeah, second date. So I was like, this is how Germany does it. Okay, that's fine. But it was really weird at first. But then I did realize like, wow, it's actually a lot more comfortable not having, your swim trunks, all wet and it gets cold. But it was very funny because we were in the sauna, and the sauna host, he came in and he said something in German, and I was like, yeah, okay. And so he pours water all over the rocks. It gets it really hot, and then I leave. So I get out of the sauna, and afterwards, the people that were in the sauna, they came out and they're like, why did you tell him to put water on the rocks? And I was like, I had no clue.
And how did your family and friends react to yourself moving away from the nice cushy job into self-employed sauna business owner?
So it was actually a transition, because when working at the tech company, to be honest, I'll tell you how my day was, right? I would wake up and, work maybe from 8 till 11 or 12. And that was really it, like 4 to 5 hours a day on average. And, making $200,000 a year, US dollar. So I had a lot of money coming in, and then I had a lot of extra time. So I would work in the morning, and then in the afternoons I would work on building the sauna. Mm-hmm. And so I did that for all of 2024, from May until October. I was still working, but I would, build the sauna, work on something for 2 weeks, and then I'd take a break and maybe go somewhere and then come back and keep building. And so they didn't really, my family and friends didn't really understand it. They just were like, oh, he's building a sauna, he wants to start a business, that's great. But it wasn't until January this year I actually got laid off. And so I lost the job. And after that, everyone was like, what are you going to do? Are you going to get another job? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I figured it was going to work out. By January, we had already had we had customers coming in, and we had pretty solid revenue, our second and third month. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm going 100%. I'm going in all the way. I'm not going to look for another job. I'm going to give the business everything I have, all of my time and energy, because what I was noticing was when I was working for the company, and then also when we opened the sauna, I was not giving the sauna as much attention as it needed, because I still had to focus on my job. And I just felt like it was very hard to grow when I was, not giving it my 100%. Mm-hmm. So.
And if we can zoom out a little bit or backtrack to the build process, how we kind of started working together, and how did the build go? I think that would be pretty interesting as well. So you contacted me over a year ago, last year, was it?
Yeah.
We designed a sauna that was mobile. It was to be mobile from the start. And the unique thing about it was that it was to be powered by a gas heater, right? That was the requirement. Oh, and the ADU accessible kind of benches, foldable up. And I think that was a pretty cool project, at least for me, because, we had very tight constraints and like well-defined program that we had to work with. But then, when I handed you over those drawings, how did the build go? Did you find it challenging, or did you get help? And tell me about the process?
I'm super glad that I found you, because I was gonna plan to design the sauna myself, and then I saw your blogs on like ventilation and flooring. And then I was like, okay, this is way more complicated. Like, I'll have a professional do it. So like when you delivered that first draft, I was amazed at like the first thing was how cool it looked, like with the black siding on the outside, and then all the windows. Like, I didn't even think that saunas could have that many windows. So like, I've never been in a sauna with a window before this sauna. That was at least outside. So after getting those, I thought that I guess the details like were not as deep as I thought they would be, right? Like, it's not, it's a design, it's a general concept. I realized like I'm not a construction work. Like, I haven't ever built a structure like this. So getting down to the actual like building the frame, I had some help. I had a family friend. He came over and he helped me frame it, and that was like the hardest part, because we had the 2% grade for the ceiling, and we just had a couple design things that I just was not qualified to do. And if I tried to do it on my own, I felt like I would have definitely not done as good of a job, like even squaring the sauna and making sure it's perfectly square. So I had someone who was a contractor come and help do the framing, and I learned a lot. And I'm glad I asked for help, because I think if I tried to do that on my own, that I wouldn't have been able to do as good of a job. So I think it's important to ask for help and know when you're not, what your weaknesses are, and ask for help. So once we got going, it took a long time to actually build. It took me 4 months, because like there's so many smaller details in the building process that you may not like realize or think of when you get to the design. So placing the supports for the benches, measuring that out, even understanding like what types of screws and nails to use, like unless you have that knowledge, it's hard to know what exactly to use. Like, I used the wrong screws for putting the benches together, and now some of the boards are actually coming off, and then I had to fix that. But overall, it was a fun build. It was very fun. I wouldn't say it was easy, but it was fun, and having the blueprints that you provided made it so much easier to build, because then I just had to cut things at the right size, essentially. And surprisingly, like, there was a lot more room in between the walkway. I thought it would be much smaller, because we had to give like some room there, and it's pretty comfortable. Like, people can sit on both sides of the sauna, and people can also walk down the middle without like hitting people's legs and stuff. So
yeah, I think that's important to have, a nice and easy escape route, not just because of safety, but also because of kind of the place being comfortable to use for yourself, and like maintenance and so on. Yeah. And by the way, talking about the size, how did you decide on the size of the sauna in terms of like capacity of how many people does it need to fit? Was it just based on the trailer, or you had an idea in mind, like, okay, it needs to fit 10 people or so?
Yeah, I was going off of revenue. So I was thinking, okay, like, how many people, like, if I want to be making a certain amount of revenue per session, I want to be able to fit so many people in there. So I was thinking I was using $25 a person, and I wanted to get over $400 per session. So I think that's how I started thinking about it. It fits a lot. Like we fit 18 people in there, and there was still room to put other people. I was so surprised, like wow. But I would not actually run my classes at full capacity. Like we'll go max maybe 12 to 15 because like you do want to have some space and have it be comfortable. But when we have events, we'll have like a team event or groups of friends come that we fit 17, 18 people in there, no problem. Yeah. And the heat is really good. I remember you also recommended having mechanical ventilation. And I wish I would have done that, but I couldn't. I think I was too impatient when I was building it. I wanted to finish it, but we are considering putting the mechanical ventilation in there because when there's that many people, sometimes it is hard to like flush out the stale air.
Yeah, I think it's important, just in any confined space when you have a lot of people, it's good to have mechanical or some kind of good way of, exchanging the air. But yeah, that's definitely more than we planned. I think we planned for like 10 or something.
Yeah, I know, and it fits so many people, and it's awesome. We have a solar panel on it too that we hooked up to a battery, and we have that powers the lights inside. So we have the lights underneath the benches, coming up, and we can change the color. And so it's really the whole ambiance of the sauna and the way the wood shows, and then you can look out the windows, and we kind of look out into some trees. Like people love that sauna. It's really
nice.
awesome.
Very good. And if you could tell me, for example, how were your first weeks of the sauna being opened? You mentioned that you worked in your previous job and you had the sauna already kind of functioning. So how was it? Like, was it busy from the start, or how was it?
Yeah, it was. I was a little shy at first when we started, because I didn't know what to do. Yeah, I was like, okay, like what happens if people come? What I would do is just open in the evening. So we were only open from like 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And people didn't really know what this was. Like they did not understand that like the concept of a community sauna. Like when people hear sauna, they just think gym sauna. My effort, like my first marketing effort, was to try and market it to sauna enthusiasts, and try to like find people who are actually interested in sauna. So the first few weeks were like very slow, like I remember I was doing it a lot of friends, like bringing my friends and having them bring their friends. And then I would do Ofgus for them. But then it wasn't until I met like a few people from yoga studios, and they had saw me on Instagram, and then they started to bring like 10 people on Saturdays, and they loved it, right? Like we do sauna, 15 minutes in the sauna, and then we would do cold plunge, and then we do that 3 times. And we'd have like the music in the sauna for Ofgus. I'd be doing the essential oils, and it was like they never had experienced that. Like most people here have not experienced that. So that slowly just ended up being like a word of mouth thing. And I think it's really what I realized then, what really helped put me on the map was having people on Instagram with a lot of followers post about me. Like someone came and they had like 20,000 followers and they did like a short post. And next thing I knew, I had 100 followers on Instagram. It was like 2-3 days I had 100 followers. I was like, wow. So I understand now why influencers get paid so much, because like it really does help a business. And people start seeing, but people are usually a little afraid to come to sauna because there's a lot of things for people to overcome. Like they may not want to be in a bathing suit, right? They may not be comfortable with how they look or comfortable having to talk to people. It might sound weird for like a European because it's like you guys have sauna in your culture, but in America there's not really a sauna culture. It's like still developing. So it's very foreign for people to like understand why you would go and sit in a sauna and talk. And then like why would you plunge? Like It's still people have to be educated as to like why, or they just have to be, they have to experience it honestly. And once they experience it, they really like it.
That's nice. So the main thing was kind of word of mouth and I suppose social media, organic social media.
Yeah.
Which is very good. That's probably the best, way to go. Yeah, tell me maybe about the actual operations and sustainability of your business. Any, what are your main revenue streams, the pricing philosophy, any tools and systems that you use?
Yeah, so right now, the way we work is that people can book a guided session. So we have different guided sessions where we'll do 15-minute sauna and then plunge and then sauna plunge, and we do that 3 times. The sessions have different intensities. So like some will be more relaxing and like lower temperature. So like maybe I'm trying to think Celsius, maybe 80, 85 Celsius for like the lower ones. And then we go all the way up to like our hottest sessions where it's like 100 Celsius, lots of steam, and the sauna guide is like fanning people really hard, and we're push people to their limits. The other offering we have is something we call open sit. So more common, just like you come and you use the sauna and the plunge. You just book the time and you can go and use it however you want. And that's just more traditional, like no music or anything like that, just people sitting in the sauna. We actually just got another sauna, so I have a barrel sauna there now too, which we're going to be opening very soon. The reason I did that was that having only one sauna only allowed for one type of offering per time. So like when we have a guided session, there are people wanting to come for open sit, but I would have to alternate when the sessions were. So now we have 2 saunas, so we can always have open sit and we can always have guided sessions at the same time. The main thing when sort of designing the business was affordability. Like we didn't want to charge people a lot of money to come do this. And when we first started, we started at like $25 per session, which is pretty low in the US for sauna. Like if you look at other places, there's a lot of places in the US that are like you book your own individual sauna. And it's in a room and you're all by yourself and you pay like $80 for 1 hour of sauna. Like it's so expensive but that's like the only other option right now. So right now we charge about $25 to $30. We offer packages and memberships that are pretty affordable. That brings down the price to like $20 to maybe $15 per session if people buy a lot of sessions at once. And we found that the packages and memberships, that makes up about 40% of our monthly revenue. So once people start coming like once or twice, they get a package because they know that they're going to be coming every week or every 2 times a week. So that pricing has been working out for us very well. We still have to work on our marketing and like sharing that this is out there. The summertime it's very hot here in the summertime. So like 95, so like 40 degrees Celsius. It's like very hot. So I didn't think we were going to be able to like stay open. I didn't think anyone was going to come. And that's why I wanted the saunas to be mobile, was so that if things didn't work out, then I could take it somewhere else and try in a different location. Placerville is a very small town. There's only like 10,000 people here. It's kind of out in the rural areas of California. So that's another challenge for the business, is like actually having the market demand and enough people to come in to fill the space. Like right now, we're making about a third of where like I would say the top operating or top revenue would be. So like if I want to be making like 100% of the revenue I want to make, we're at a third right now. So it's not that bad. We're still under our first year. We've only been open for like 8 months. So that's a big piece, is right now structuring the tickets to be affordable and to educate people on what this is. And our next step right now is to actually really focus on marketing and getting really cool content and videos and pictures to really show the space, because what we're realizing is people will drive over 1 to 2 hours just to come here and experience the sauna on the weekends. So we haven't really tried to reach people like in Sacramento, which is the closest city. It's a bigger, 1 million people live there. So like we want to start making this place a place where people can come on the weekends. But right now we've just focused on the local population and getting repeat users, people who will come in every week and sauna and plunge.
I think that's really great to hear, that with such a little population of the town that you live in, the Placerville, right?
Yeah, we say Placerville.
Placerville, okay.
Yeah.
Placerville's sauna is that you achieved, pretty successful already, I think, business. So, as an example, my parents, they live about 7 kilometers, which is like 5 miles away from a city that is 100,000 people. Mm-hmm. And they have probably like 30% locals and 70% tourists, because it's a touristy area.
Oh.
But it's a totally, different mixture of people. But yeah, still, it's if it's just 8 months for you, and you're already your second sauna, I think that's a huge success.
Yeah, it's definitely a milestone. I think, like, I'll be honest, I don't feel it yet. I'm still feel like we have a long ways to go to really be at a point where it's like the business runs itself. I'm still, there a lot working and running some sessions, but we have like 4 other sauna guides now. And we trained a couple people on how to open and close the sauna space. But right now, like, we're not at a point where I could just hire everyone and walk away and not have to be there. So, like, for me, it's definitely success. I love seeing that people are coming and enjoying it. Like, this is like a big thing for me, is that it's so much more fulfilling to see the value that we're providing our community, versus like working in tech where it was just getting, a nice paycheck every week. So yeah, still a long ways to go though, because we want to get at least double our amount of people that have been coming in.
Mm-hmm. And especially, like, you get this sense of accomplishment, probably, that you're actually improving the area where you live by offering this service. I think that's great. Yeah. That's really big.
We spent a lot of money. Let's just start there. The capital expenditures, the first year, I think overall I spent close to $60,000 building the sauna and building the cold plunge, getting all the furniture for the space. And the sauna alone, I think, in just materials and everything, was like $25,000. I could, like, if I was building another sauna, we could definitely get that under 20,000, because I over ordered some things. I bought too much metal for the metal siding. I bought the most expensive one too, and I don't think I would do that again. But overall, like, operating margin right now is about 65%. So we keep 65 cents per dollar that we make. And so that, like, the profit margin that we operate, I'd say, like, on average is about 80%. So it's pretty good, but at the same time, where if you count for capital expenditure, so if you include the sauna we just bought, you include like things that are non-operating, it kind of wipes out any sort of profit. But this is our first year, right? And that's expected. So, I'm not stressing that we're spending more than we're making right now, but we're closing that gap. Like, we're not going to have to spend a lot of money other than operating costs right now, which are propane and labor, and essential oils. Like it's and rent. Rent is also an operating. So we've gotten it down to like close to $1,000 per month for operating costs.
Expenses.
Yeah, that's on a good month. Like it fluctuates from $1,000 to $1,500 per month. And then like on an average month, we're bringing in close to 6,000, closer to 8,000 on like a really good month. And so my goal is to get to about 15,000 per month, which means we have to double or triple our traffic. And I don't want to increase prices. I would rather just get more people in there, because like our average size per session is about 7 to 8 people, which is comfortable. But now we can, with the second sauna, we can add about 10 people into the space per hour. So that should really help us increase revenue from that standpoint. Yeah.
And the sessions that you run, are they? You mentioned it's 15 minutes of sauna time, right? And then there's a resting period, and then sauna again, or how does it work?
Yeah. So we do. It usually lasts one hour, where we'll do start with 15 minutes in the sauna, and then we do a cold plunge. I usually have people shoot for 2 minutes, but it's really up to them and what they feel like. Give them like 5-10 minutes to kind of cool down, hydrate, and then we go back in the sauna for 15. And then the second round is usually a little hotter. Like we'll make it hotter, and then go out, plunge, hang out for a little bit, and then third round is the last round. And that whole time frame lasts about an hour. We also do what has been really popular are team events. So I put some posts out about doing like, if you work at a company and you want to do, a group event with your team, like team building activities as well, we'll do that. And we've had probably about 6 to 8 different groups come, and it's been awesome to watch, coworkers sauna and plunge together, because there are some who are so scared and then some who actually enjoy it, and they all know each other so well. So like there's really good friendship, and they're doing this activity that's a little bit scary together, and you can really see the fear on them. Like before that, it's usually the plunge that really scares people. But after the first plunge, and we coach people while they're in there on how to breathe, and having other people in there and talking to each other helps relax, everybody. And by the last plunge, people are like excited to go in the plunge, and they're smiling, and all that fear that they had was gone. And so for team events, it's really important because they work together. And a lot of the teams we've been getting were from hospitals. And so they're under like high stress environments. And so doing this was like a great team building activity we found. So those have been very popular. And then also birthdays and stuff like that have been a little bit, less, but still people are booking for that.
So really a diverse loads of different, kinds of types of bookings, I suppose, that you offer,
Yep.
It helps, not being just like one type of sauna, but, helps probably bring in different kinds of people and more people, if you offer different stuff.
Yeah, I would also say, like we have the more extreme sessions where it's hotter and we make the cold plunge colder. And one group of people that we found who really, really get a lot of benefit from sauna and plunge are people in like recovery who used to be substance abusers. Think like alcohol, methamphetamine, any form of addiction. Like people are trying to, or have been sober for say many years. They found this and they really, really love this experience because it fits into like those types of people are always trying to be as healthy as possible because they're constantly fighting the urge or addiction. And we found that they absolutely love this experience, and you get high from it. Like you get a good feeling, a natural endorphin release. And what they're telling me is that it's like a substitute for having to drink alcohol or do drugs. And so some of our most popular users are people who used to be substance abusers, and now they're sober, and this is like their weekly thing they come to kind of de-stress and re-energize. Yeah, and it's nice because it's definitely a community that needs help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting, that you mention it. I don't have that much experience with, these problems, but it's great that, they find value in it and that you can, help them out. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking if I covered everything.
Well, we could go, I could tell you some fun stories, the community part.
Yeah, go on.
So we've had some interesting experiences from our guests. So off the top of my head, I see a lot of people becoming friends at the sauna, or people who maybe might know each other and then they show up together, and it's like they haven't seen each other in a long time. So like the community aspect of the sauna it's evolving, and it's really fun to watch, because I know in Europe, sauna is a very communal thing. So we've had a couple instances though. We've never had anyone get hurt. We've never had anyone pass out. We have had somebody have an orgasm in the cold plunge. It was a female. Yeah. So we did a guided session, and I could sense that it was only like 3 people. It was when I first started. So it was like a very private session. And so I poured a lot of steam and got them really, really hot. And I pretty much told them like to stay in the full 15 minutes. And they got out, when you're like, we're so hot, like everything's kind of like, you almost feel a little dizzy. It was like that. And then they went into the cold plunge, and this girl, she had her eyes closed, but she kept smiling. And I'm like, why is she smiling in the cold plunge? Like usually they are screaming. And so she gets out and she told me what happened. I was like, I didn't know that was possible. But then I listened to Wim Hof, and I guess Wim Hof, he's able to do that as well. It's like mind over matter. But anyways, I was so surprised like that. I've never forget that experience. And whenever I tell people like someone orgasmed in the cold plunge, it's just like, the look on their faces is hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny. Maybe, bring in more clients if you spread the...
Yeah, we can advertise that,
Yeah. And actually talking about Wim Hof, that place where he, up in the mountains where he like does his plunges, that's very close to where my parents live. And I've been cold plunging in the same place he has for like last 15 years. So
no way.
Yeah, he shot a few videos actually in the same location, and there's like a mountain stream that is always cold because it's like in a very like in a canyon, or how do you call it? Yeah, it's just like 2 rocks, 2 cliff faces, and it's always cold. In summer it's like 10 degrees. In the winter it's around 0 usually. And sometimes you have to like get an axe and like get the water broken up before you can jump in. But
so have you done that? You just plunge with no sauna?
Yeah. It's very cold, but it's a nice experience. You should try it. You go in and there's like a thermal shock similar to probably what you have, but the thing is you have to kind of control your mind in the way like you don't freak out basically. A lot of people go like hyperventilate, like breathe a lot, but the thing to do is you have to like relax and just chill, and that's it.
Do you breathe, or how do you stay in so long?
Well, I don't stay that long. I stay maybe like you mentioned, a couple of minutes. My longest was I think 5 minutes. Wow. And you basically have to relax
Yeah.
and slow down the breathing, and then you're obviously cold, but you can still, stay there. It's it's like what Wim Hof teaches pretty much. So
I'll have to try it. We have a lot of like small lakes in the Sierra. We're in the Sierra Nevadas, like where Lake Tahoe is, and so it snows in the winter, and there's a lot of like small little lakes, and it actually sounds fun to try that.
Yeah, maybe a different kind of activity, a field trip, for the community, for you.
We'll
Get
have
a
to
bus
bring the
together.
sauna.
Yeah, if you have mobile saunas, then
Yeah.
why not? Or you can, if you ever want to go on vacation, I invite you to come over to Poland, and we can go sauna and cold plunge here as well. That would be great.
I would love to try that one day. I really have wanted to go to Poland for a while. I've had some friends from there, and it just seems like a cool country.
Yeah, I think so as well. So I think that's it, more or less. Do you have anything you'd like to add for people who are thinking about opening such a business like you have?
Yeah, I would say I had this moment where I realized, like, how do I actually want to be spending my life? If I was a dog or a cat looking at me while I was working in tech, they would just be thinking, why is this person sitting and talking to a box of light all day? I saw my life as just spending my life on a computer, and there's so much more, I think, in life to actually experience. Just people in general. It's such a rich experience to be there with people doing something fun. So like the advice I would give, if someone's in one industry and they kind of want to do something else, like, do what you like, what excites you, and don't be in a rush to do it. Like, you can take years to transition. I think going slow and steady is much better than trying to go really fast and like have a big change, because if things don't work out, I think it's important to always have backup plans. Like for me, the backup plan with the sauna business, if it didn't work out at the location, then I would move it to a different location because it's mobile. If that didn't work out, then maybe I would go try and sell myself and get investors. And if that didn't work out, then I would go back and get a job. Like, I have all these backup plans. But at the end of the day, there's no rush. As long as you're making progress towards your goals, and as long as you're doing something you like, then like you should be happy at that point. And so that's kind of my only advice if anyone's looking to transition from one industry to another, or maybe from an industry to their passion. If you're really passionate about something, you can find a way to monetize it and have fun doing that. And don't worry about the money, I would say, at first. If you can't pay your bills, then maybe like worry, but I just think, enjoy the ride, enjoy your life, and do what you like. And so that's my only advice.
Marcus's story isn't just about building a business. It's about building a community and a place where strangers become friends. He didn't wait until he was ready. He just started and figured out the rest along the way. So whatever you've been thinking about building, go build it.